And good morning. It is Car Con Carne. I'm James Van Ostel, and Car Con Carne is lovingly sponsored today by Siren Records in McHenry, 3902 Main Street in McHenry. I've got to be honest, during the pandemic, none of us got out much. Siren Records was basically my summer vacation. It was my social life. It was my source of road trips. I love the depth of stuff they have there. If you're a jazz fan, you can plan on spending the day there. They also have fantastic punk and metal sections. All the new stuff you're digging around for. Siren Records in McHenry, sponsoring the show today, 3902 Main Street. My guest this morning, she is the lead actress in a fantastic new thriller. It is called 100 Days to Live. She is Heidi Johanningmeier. She plays Dr. Rebecca Church. Good morning, Heidi.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. That record store, by the way, sounds amazing.
It's so much fun. It's very old school. You know how some record stores feel like you're walking into a Walmart? They're very sterile.
Yeah.
This it smells like a record store. It feels like a record store.
I'm such an antique vintage junkie. And records, I mean, they're right next. My record player is literally within my hand's reach right now.
All right. So here's my question. I came back to record collecting. I walked away from record collecting for a long time because they just stopped making records. And if you've moved with vinyl enough, if there's no reason to carry it around, you're just like, okay, I'm done with this. I came back to vinyl collecting. Have you been collecting your whole life, or is it something you're new to?
More new to, okay. So can we say like in the last decade is new? Okay.
Sure.
So when I got married, we had no money. So our version of a DJ is we went in the middle of Iowa to like antique stores and bought all these like Johnny Cash records and got a record player, and that was our music.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a Stack-O-Matic, so you could put, like 5 records on there, and we didn't need a DJ, so it was perfect. Now, my son, who is 9, he loves music, he loves records, and we're buying newer ones, like Guardians of the Galaxy actually has an amazing soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, because you get a little bit of everything on that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I am partial to, like, Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, anything 70s. Is my jam.
Which you can usually find for a reasonable price at record stores.
And you know what? I have to tell you, like, other than a couple first edition books, like The Alchemist, I don't spend a lot on anything because life and I have 3 rescue dogs and everything gets torn up. And I just would rather, spend a dime or two, enjoy it, and then if it gets ruined, you know what I mean, try to reuse it, but move on. I don't like to feel like I've invested so much that nobody can touch it.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, what's the point? If you buy a record, it was meant to be played. If you buy an old book, it was meant to be read. I totally agree with you.
Yes, we got into going to a comic store up by us, and it's a weekend thing with the kids. And it's the same thing. They see these comics and they're like, it's the first Wolverine. And I'm like, but then you can't touch it. And don't you want to touch it and read it? And you know what I mean? So yeah, but that's just my way of thinking.
When my kids were growing up and at that age, I would read them comic books before bedtime.
Oh, I love it.
But to your point, like you got to read the stuff. You got to crack them open and fold them back, and they're meant to be enjoyed.
I could not agree more. Sorry. I'm here. Oh, it's a phone over there. I'm like, is that my phone? It's not making any noise. I have to tell you, I'm a huge comic junkie as well. I'm way more sci-fi than I think people think that I might be, but dream job, without a doubt, is a Marvel movie.
Oh, I can imagine. I would imagine that's true of anyone in film.
I hope so, right?
Did you just finish WandaVision?
Oh, yeah.
I've been waking up every Friday morning at 7 a.m. to make sure that I got the episode out of the way before work, because I didn't want anything spoiled for me.
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure
I felt was just so good. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I definitely connect with Wanda. I would have done what she did.
Heading into that final episode, they had a lot to tie up. And they did it all, and it didn't feel rushed or forced.
No, I completely agree. It felt like, I mean, I think they obviously in the very beginning had a clear vision of, here's the amount of episodes we have. This is what we're going to do. it definitely was a beautiful beginning to what I hope will happen with Disney Plus and all these Marvel, shows.
And I think we can all agree that Catherine Hahn was fantastic.
Amazing. Everything
Amazing.
was amazing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Elizabeth Olsen was fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to 100 Days to Live. Just to start, as we talk about this movie, can we just acknowledge the Chicago-ness of
Oh,
everything?
yeah, I think so.
I mean, here in the Chicago area, we're very proud of every movie that's filmed here, whether it's, the obvious ones like Blues Brothers or The Fugitive, but even like Candyman and Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. These are all things that matter to us. So the skyline's the first thing we see in the movie, followed by the lakefront. There's the river walk over by my office when I used to go downtown to work. There's a death around the corner from Shuba's. I mean, Chicago is a big part of this.
Huge. I mean, we shot in Hancock Building for a week. So we were joking. We were on LA Morning this week talking about the film. And she said the same thing. She's like, I've never heard two people gush about the city they live in so much. But I love Chicago. And I feel like this film could almost be a tourism video for
It
Chicago.
really is. And of course, I got nostalgic. I'm like, Shuba's. I can't wait to see live music again.
Oh my God. Me too. I just said to my son, actually, and he's only 9, but he loves Imagine Dragons. And in Chicago, I was at Farm Aid, which is one of the best concerts ever. And I saw Imagine Dragons perform. And so I told him, as soon as music starts back up, I'm going to take you to your first concert and we're going to see Imagine Dragons.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
The first concert, that's a big deal. You got to get a t-shirt and everything.
It's a big deal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So the general pitch, without spoiling 100 Days to Live, it's a movie about a killer. Suicide is a central theme. There's a big part of the story that is so surprising, or was so surprising to me. I can't talk about it. But so let's just talk about your character, Dr. Rebecca Church. You bring a lot of, watching this movie, you bring a lot of nuance to the performance. There's this dinner you have at Gabriel's place, and you're doing a lot. I don't know if I was reading more into this, but you're doing a lot with your eyes. Like, you're doing a lot of nonverbal acting in that scene. I thought that was really cool.
Well, thank you. What a huge compliment. Thanks. I think always a goal of mine is to make it so genuine, and it's hard sometimes to find that balance of genuine and interesting. The role was written so beautifully. My character Rebecca is such a strong individual, but she's definitely haunted by some secrets and just challenged time after time after time. And it was great. I love playing strong women that are very real, because I think to find your strength, what is really honorable is to see somebody's past. And that's something that is really unique about this film. It is a thriller. It is a psychological thriller. I mean, it's a serial killer movie. And yet at the same hand, Raveen, the writer, director, producer, my everything, he really took time to go into the background of each of the characters. And I think that's unique for maybe the thriller genre. You really get to see her past. You really get to see how each of the characters gets to the point that they do. And as an actor, then having that sort of knowledge perhaps made it easier to have those moments, because I really did try to connect with where is she in her life and what has brought her to this point.
You definitely threw yourself. There's some really emotional scenes in here, and you threw yourself into them. I want to ask, the photo albums are part of the movie. Did you do a lot of, you mentioned a lot of the shoots you did around Chicago. Did a lot of that shooting or that shooting activity end up in pictures that ended up in those photo albums?
Yeah, it was really unique, I have to tell you. So how Raveen planned this out or scheduled it is a lot of those photos that Colin and I took we took them the day before we started shooting. And so we had never met before. And it was a unique way to get to know each other and make jokes and figure out each other's ins and outs
Get chemistry going.
Yeah, get chemistry going before we shot. And so it was really helpful. And, again, you could shoot a million different places in Chicago and have it be beautiful. I do have to say, our cinematographer was amazing. He knows how to get a beautiful shot. So I was really just blessed to be in that shot.
So again, the movie is 100 Days to Live. And as we talk about chemistry, I think even more so than the chemistry established with the character of Gabriel, the chemistry established with the character of Victor is super important to this story. The wounded healer, Victor Quinn. Gideon Emery, what a chilling human being he turned out to be in this movie.
He is amazing. I mean, Gideon is not only an amazing actor, he's actually a really amazing human being as well. He was such a pleasure to work with and so professional. And that actually made it easier to commit to my role because I did like him and I did want it to work out. And not to give any spoilers away, but you see two different versions of somebody. And I think that once you accept that this is so important to him, and we do that in our lives, we become so obsessed perhaps with a goal that you lose sight of the morals or decisions that you let slide by because you're so focused on a singular idea. So he did a beautiful job. We were really blessed to get him. Actually, an interesting story is when I was cast, he was already cast. And Raveen, the director, showed me his audition tape. And he said, once I found this actor, I knew I could make the film. So Gid really was the backbone of this film.
What I like very much about this movie, we learned from the get-go, he's the bad guy. Yes. And in watching this, as I started to watch this, I thought, well, where's this going to go if we already know that he's the bad guy? Like, they gave everything up in the beginning. They didn't give everything up in the beginning. This is not a slow burn by any means.
No. I was actually shooting a Netflix film in Ohio when I had the script and I was reading it. I hadn't been cast yet. I had done one read and I had a chemistry reading up. And so I actually got the whole script, which sometimes you get, sometimes you don't. And it was a not shoot day for me. I was there for 2 weeks. And so the first twist, which we won't give away, but I'm reading it and I'm just sitting on my hotel bed and I get to the first twist and I slam the script down on the bed and I walk away with tears just coming down my face. And I knew then I wanted to be a part of this project.
Yeah, so, the first twist, which we won't go into, it's the thing I want to tell everyone about, because to me it was so innovative and it shattered my expectations of where this was going.
Yeah.
Going back to Gideon real quick, the character of Victor Quinn, his origin is like, so you mentioned Marvel Comics. His origin story is like something out of a Marvel comic.
Absolutely. Can't you see Gid as a Marvel character?
100%, like a Daredevil villain or something.
Yeah, really... for sure. I think it's interesting that you bring that up, because if somebody asked me what Marvel character would you want to be, I think I would want to be a female Loki. I like when you don't know if it's the good guy or the bad guy.
The anti-hero.
I love the anti-hero. I love it. And I think you actually see that a little bit in every single character of 100 Days to Live.
Mm-hmm.
I think you see, I just find it so boring when somebody is the obvious choice. They're always strong. They're always, and nothing against that. That's great. Good for you. But let's be realistic. Humans, we're multicolored. We are multidimensional. And, the best stories, I think, are the ones that rise up out of the flames and make a way for themselves. So
you mentioned playing this strong character, Dr. Rebecca Church. The movie talks a lot about the strength of the survivors. Again, suicide is a central theme of the movie. There's also the acknowledgement in the movie that not everyone can be saved. This arrives at an interesting time because the entire universe has been wrestling with mental health for the past 12 months as we've been sheltering in place. And it's a topic I keep coming back to. Is there a fine line in promoting the movie because it is? Are you careful about how you express this so that you're sensitive to suicide survivors in real life?
Yeah, I think that, had our director not had a personal, you know, relationship, I mean, one of his relatives committed suicide. And so I guess going into it, I knew that he was coming from a very honest, uh, not to expose this place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a big part of it. But once I took it on and I really had the opportunity to talk to therapists, to talk to counselors, to talk to people who had lost people to suicide, and also watch videos of people speaking who had attempted suicide and did not go through with it, I started to feel more and more definite in the idea that these are some of the strongest individuals in the world. And I wanted to portray that. I wanted to portray that this isn't something that's, um, they can shut off, that every day they wake up and they fight this, and they fight it for the people they love, and they fight it for themselves. And my respect level just really expanded. And I have a whole new appreciation for the community of suicidal victims and suicide survivors. There's this really, I'm going to grab it right here. There's this great, again, I'm going to talk about how great Chicago is. So Chicago has, it's called Sip of Hope. It's
Mm-hmm.
also, they go by Hope for the Day.
Mm-hmm.
And they are based in Chicago.
It's funny you should mention that. I've had Hope for the Day on
Ah,
probably 3 or 4 times over the past 12 months to talk about this exact topic.
I'm a really huge fan of theirs. I don't even think they know that, but they had a saying, and it said, the more we talk about mental health, the more we realize we're not crazy, fucked up, or insane. We're human beings going through something called life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I hope people see when they see this film. I hope that they see the human side of it. And I think what's really nice about it is you do see multiple people from multiple walks of life dealing with this. This is not a problem that centers after one demographic.
Right.
Depression, mental health, it affects all of us. Unfortunately, we are still at a place where we are stigmatizing it, and we are not talking about it, and we are not reaching our hands out to one another. Hope for the Day says, this is something we could change. This is something we can realistically change. And I am not saying that our film does that. This is
but it allows the conversations to happen. I think that's the issue. Because of the stigma that you mentioned, we need to work collectively as a culture, as a society, to normalize these discussions.
I think so too. Absolutely. So although yes, getting the script initially, I was a little tentative. The more I spoke to the director, the more I realized what I wanted to put forth and what I thought I could bring to the character, the more I realized that this is a thing I wanted out in the world. We also did a lot of screenings, and we had people that were psychologists watch it and get some feedback. So although it's far from perfect, and we would never say that it is, we really, 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 the entire process, we're very conscious of not exposing suicide or mental health.
It is a thrilling movie, and it's a short movie too. Like when it wrapped up, I just kind of sat there and thought, okay, I'll exhale. We're good.
It's so true. It really does keep you on the edge of your seat. And there are multiple twists. And when we first started editing it, I was really lucky. Raveen, the director, is just such an amazing individual.
And he's a first-time director.
It's worth noting. I know. But he let me be a part of everything. He really wanted my feedback. We really have become close friends. Initially when you get an audition, you get this breakdown and it says producers, it says directors, it says writers, it says your character, it says casting director. And I like to do my research because if you're going in for Peter Jackson, you're going to audition, even if it's the same lines, you're going to say them different than going in for West Wing. You just are. There's a tone, there's a speed, there's different things people are looking for. And when I looked up Raveen's name and it came up that he was the CEO, I thought, oh, is this really him?
Uh-huh.
So then I remember going in for the audition and it was him. And then saying to my agents, this could turn out one of two ways. This could be a brilliant opportunity because it is the first time I've been a lead in a film. Or it could be really horrible. Because you don't know. I didn't know. He'd never directed, he'd never written, he'd never, done all these things. And he was amazing. He had no ego. And yet we made time every day except one day. And that day we shot 16 pages. So, I mean, come on. Yeah, it was a blessing, the entire film and everybody on it. I just can't say enough about Chicagoans. They are such hardworking, genuine people.
We're the best people in the world unless you're driving.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's true.
As long as you stay off the road, the nicest people in the world, good Midwestern, hardworking, wood shedding, salt of the earth people. Unless you're on the road, then you're getting tailgated and being called a jagoff.
Really, you are. It's crazy. I remember when I moved from LA to Chicago. In LA, if you put a foot out into the street, cars will stop. Even though if you're breaking the law, they will stop. I almost got ran over in Andersonville. Like several times before I realized they don't stop for humans. They just
Yeah, you made your bed. Yeah, this is what you get. All right. So here we are. The movie is out on VOD. It's also out on DVD. If you're looking for, we're at a point, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Heidi. We're starved for content, aren't we?
Like, yeah, I'm watching older movies now. We watched Bronx Tale the other night, which is amazing. But no, we're like going back to like our old movies. Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about this film is when we released, our distributor told us, you'll probably be like 175 on iTunes. It's a low budget film. I mean, it's a low budget film. We are not a studio film. And we made it to number 17.
Awesome.
On iTunes. It's just amazing. And really that's the support of the people. That's Chicagoans doing what we do. And our friends seeing that we had this Chicago movie and people rented it. I was blown away by the support that I've seen. And we just need it to continue.
Yeah, it's word of mouth. Like I said, we're also starved for content. If something good is out there, we're going to let everyone we know about it.
Yeah. And it's a fun hour and a half film, not even an hour and a half, that will make you think, and you'll have conversations afterwards. Mm-hmm. I do not think anyone watches our film and doesn't have at least one deep conversation. I hope that people watch this film and I hope that they have no idea what's coming. But then when it's all done, I hope that they ask themselves, if I had 100 days to live, what would I do with it? And then they multiply that and multiply it and multiply it. And we think about what we're grateful for because it's hard right now. Mm-hmm. Unless you stop and tell yourself, okay, what am I grateful for? It's kind of hard right now. It won't be for the next 2 days because we're going to have like 60-degree weather in Chicago.
Absolutely.
And people are going to be partially naked outside.
True enough. Well, how have you stayed grounded over the past 12 months?
We adopted another rescue dog. So I have 3 rescue dogs now.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a big part of it. I am an animal person. I grew up on a farm in Iowa, and I'm from one of the last family farms, which means I worked every day of my life. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize being an artist that I had the lows that I sense as an adult because I was always around animals. So
I get that.
now I have adopted another dog. And I think there's something to be said for happy music. I think there's something to be said for holding people a little longer, a little tighter. I mean, my kids, gall, talk about, I don't think I cut that cord with either of them. I snuggle them so much. And you know, I think I said it yesterday on a social media post on Instagram. Tell people you love them. Don't hold it in. You know, happiness is a two-way street. I think Gandhi said, and this is paraphrasing,
Of course.
by the way. Sharing your light doesn't dim yours.
Mm-hmm.
When I felt low in life, I found that if I look outside myself, if I find a way to volunteer or take care of something, it can even be small, you know, I feel better. Mental health, it affects us all. I think artists, we feel it a lot. I mean, to be able to do something like this project, I have to be able to feel lows and I feel highs as well. But we shouldn't judge ourselves for the lows. That's something I would
That's
put out
key.
there too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't judge yourself, acknowledge it, and then find silver lining. And it's not in that way that our parents in the 80s or the 90s would be like, what are you thankful for? You know? But
So
it's
true.
it's just the little things. It's when the sun actually comes out. It's some days I am not joking you. I go up to one of my dogs and they're huge because they're Great Dane mixes and
Oh
Great
my
Dane mixes. 3 of them.
See,
And
I have a Bernese Mountain Dog. I love big dogs.
I do
Big.
too. And I just put my head in their stomach and I'm just like, breathe, breathe. I also would say people need to go through their social medias. And for as much as you want to follow your friends and you want to know what's going on in you know, the public eye, find people who feed your soul.
That's
You
it. I
know?
got to a point, Heidi, last June or so, when I was at the first wave of extreme fatigue from all this. I was just doom scrolling through all the political stuff, all the pandemic stuff, all the stressful stuff. I'm like, I need to cut myself off and walk away from this every day. I started walking regularly. I'm
Oh,
still
I don't
doing
think
it
there's anything better for us than oxygen.
for
And
real.
that's not supporting the non-maskers. But I mean, yes, getting out for a walk and getting some vitamin D, that used to be my saving grace when I lived in LA. If I felt low, I would go for a walk, you know, in the freezing weather. But I have to have, there's on Instagram, I follow Black Liturgies. And every day they have a breathing thing. And I have not mastered breathing or even meditating because I think my mind is too fast for that.
Mm-hmm.
But just read something positive. You know, we have to be careful about what we're putting in our minds, and we all need a little junk food sometimes. I'm not against
For
that.
sure. For sure. But I mean, I got to the point in exactly what you're saying. I'm like, I'm consuming too much garbage. This is stressing me out. I just need to put the phone down, power the computer down, and get out.
Yeah, go for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think that's the best thing. And you know what? I know we don't know what the future holds right now, but be optimistic about it. Even if you're not going to take it, plan a trip. Even if you're not, even if it's March and you're planning how you're going to decorate your front porch, do it. Think about the vegetables you're going to plant in your garden. All of that is just things that we need right now. We need a little TLC.
You are a force for good.
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
So the movie 100 Days to Live, again, it's out on VOD, it's out on
Yeah.
DVD. If you are listening or if you're watching right now and you're thinking, what am I going to do tonight? I have 90 minutes planned for you. Watch this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heidi Johanningmeier, Force for Good. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. And let's do it again when we're actually doing the
In the car?
food.
Yes.
All
Deal.
right.